You guys ready?
Yes.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Um, let's do a roll call.
Present.
Mr. Seafor?
Here.
Mr. Hughes?
Present.
Present.
Mr. Mohammed?
Present. If everyone's had an opportunity to review the agenda for today, I don't know if anyone has any questions. Otherwise, one of you guys would like to move to approve the agenda, we can proceed.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Good. Okay, we've got the minutes from last month's meeting attached here in the next few pages. Once everyone's had a chance to review them, please let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, someone can move to approve the minutes from the August 22nd YPAC meeting.
If I remember correctly, the D and the update of the police interaction survey, these were tabled, and it's not marked that they were tabled. Is it possible to add that to the agenda? Just so we,
So once D and E is tabled, is it approved those modifications?
I would say yes, I don't know.
You could probably make like a motion to that effect.
I make a motion that we add on the agenda for Thursday, August 22, under section D and E, the update of police interaction survey, and D, a walkthrough of the citizens complaint process, be marked as tabled.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Second.
Oops. Sorry. I thought that I had put this in the agenda for today. I apologize, Lori. I want us to add and at some point you and I can talk about what we need to do I just want something at or near the top where it's just like the chief's time to go over whatever it is he has over that month. Just like YPD updates or Chief Moore update or something like that. So that we have some sort of a catch-all place for anything that's going on from the chief's perspective and YPD's perspective. I would like to add that somewhere on the agenda for today.
Okay. And so we're going to change it. We're going to add the YPD update.
Yes, please.
And first and second.
I think we need someone to actually move for it.
I move that we amend the agenda to include the chief's section.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you, Lori. Sorry about that. All right. I guess we are at public comment. I was like, I thought we were gonna have at least 3 people getting it.
Hello, my name's Alexander Monroe. I own Monroe Real Estate up here on about half a block. I submitted an application to serve as a volunteer commissioner here, and I just wanted to introduce myself, put a face to the name. We have tenants, residential, and also small business shopkeepers who've had various run-ins over the years. And I've always had an excellent experience with YPD. Y'all have always showed up correctly, politely, and quickly whenever I've needed you guys. So a little bit about me is I have a bachelor's in history and I had a minor in crime and justice. That's more sociology and psychology and history of the criminal justice system. But what I would hope to bring to the table would be just a sense of balance in terms of weighing the pros and cons of different things. I know YPD has had staffing issues over the years, which cannot be really any of our officers' fault. They can only do what they have the staff to do. But it would be amazing if in the future YPD were able to get access to some resources for things like, for instance, having drones or canine units, because I believe that situationally it could be of an advantage to de-escalate situations and avoid using lethal force if we have things like dogs, which can go places that humans physically can't. I understand that there are drawbacks to dogs, and also there's privacy concerns with drones, and those are valid concerns as well. So I like the idea, but I'm not completely sold on either idea. But I'd love to help in any way that I can, just bringing new ideas to the table. Earlier, I met Mr. Gary Clark also at a landlord function. I believe he may have also applied. He's also in Ward 3. So hopefully, and I would also support Gary's nomination also if possible, but hopefully we can fill up the vacant seats and help y'all function here with the city and public safety in mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in present?
We got a special guest right here.
Yeah, at this point. Hello, YPAC. It's been a while since I've been here. It's good to see you all. Good to see a new member. Good to see you too. I'm here with 2 issues. So I've been under I've gotten a lot of inquiries about situation on South Washington Street. And so I'm not sure if you have deliberated on that in the past at any of your meetings as to what role the police department plays in that, what mechanisms could be put into place to resolve that situation. So I've had lots of conversations with Chief Moore about what some steps could be, but I was just wondering if you guys had deliberated on that at all. And if not, then I'd like to have that conversation. The other thing that I want to bring up is that there's a ballot initiative that was advanced from some folks in the community. And it's a very general thing that says that if the city wants to increase the police budget, that it has to go to a vote of the people, and that has to be put on a general election ballot. There's lots of problems with this, but I think it would be great for you guys to think about that as well. Some of the issues are there's no trigger mechanisms in that, right? So increasing the budget, does that mean if police get a grant for something that's above and beyond the budget that was approved by council in the previous sessions, does that trigger this? So it's not really defined. It's a very broad thing. Lots of people like the overall idea, but lots of us think that it's not a reasonable policy. There's no guidance. There's no, it's not really a policy. It's a statement saying, we want to know about increases of the budget, but there's no policy to govern how that would work. So 2 things that I think I would be interested in hearing your opinions on. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak?
Okay, anybody on? Just in time.
Hello, everyone. My name's Kat Layton. Thank you. I was on Zoom. Ward 3 resident, just heard a little bit of the public comments. First, there was a very well qualified applicant who applied to be on this commission and was denied due to residential location. Even though this person has a lot of experience being justice impacted, I think it's really important when you do think about future nominations, which none of you really have a say in explicitly, but do have an influence on. It'd be important. I just ran, excuse me. It would be important to consider people's experiences, their positionalities or identities, what they're bringing to the table to make sure that we're being equitable in this process. And so I just wanted to uplift that. And secondly, in regards to South Washington Street, that has been an ongoing issue for years. And more police presence is not going to help, unfortunately. And what is really needed is more services in that area. And that includes social work, mental health professionals, case management, harm reduction, et cetera. And we could talk about that at our community forum. But unfortunately, that's also being kind of obstructed from city staff about trying to get that forward. And so we were found that our proposal for a community forum around public safety, housing, and mental health was not in our scope of work, which is not true in my opinion. And so I think it's really important to think about that. In addition to, there was an incident August 6th where the co-response unit for CMH in the police sheriff's office was not deployed, even though it was requested that they go there to help with the situation. And so just thinking through how co-response units are not always impactful, and that we all really need to start talking about unarmed non-police response programs and how you could be pushing that narrative and that idea forward as a commission. And please, again, just really think about, I guess this is more so to Councilmember Tucson, think about the different applications you're receiving and their identities that they're carrying and how they're going to be able to really help diversity, pride, and heritage in the city, rather than try to take away from the good work that this commission is trying to do. So just please be mindful of that. And I can't see a timer, but I'm pretty sure I'm getting close to 3 minutes anyway. Oh, okay, cool, 20 seconds. Anyway, thank you for all the work y'all are doing already, and I apologize for being out of breath. So thank you.
You.
Hey guys, Corn, Ypsi Township. I kind of want to echo some of the things from the last public comment. There seems to be a trend with commissioner appointments where people are getting put on advisory commissions that have no background in what they're advising on, and also aren't reflective of the populations that would be most impacted by decisions that are being made by those advisory boards. HRC was a great example of that, where they're tasked to deal with discrimination in the city of Ypsilanti. There were social workers who deal with vulnerable populations who applied for those commissioner positions, and instead they were given to dominant culture landlords instead of vulnerable culture human service workers. So I'm starting to kind of see that now there's also some of those same individuals, actually the same family, that is now asking to be on the police advisory commission. And again, they are not representing any vulnerable population that's impacted by over policing. They are not justice impacted. I really don't know what they would bring to the table as far as improving the community's relationship with YPD. I think like one major red flag in that disconnect would be like suggesting that increasing the number of canine units or drones to increase surveillance would have any positive impact on community relations with YPD. We know that continued criminalization and surveillance doesn't do anything but create more harm in the community. It leads to more violence, it leads to more drug use, it leads to more overdoses, and there's data that supports all of that. So again, I urge you guys really to consider the people in the community that you're tasked to care for, because as an advisory board to a governing body, you are tasked in caring for the community. And so I think like if that care isn't represented in the actions that you take or represented in your hearts, then the responsible thing would be to step down from the position and allow someone who does have that care and passion and desire to serve the community to take that task on. So yeah, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
Anyone else on Zoom that'd like to speak?
All right. And Lori, the Chiefs sort of section, is that at the top or is that at the bottom? Or can it be wherever? I guess, yeah, if it's all the same to you, you two gentlemen, we can kick off with YPD stuff. Awesome.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, and thank you for allowing us to be here. Chief Kirk Moore. I have with me Captain Timothy Anderson. We will also have Acting Lieutenant Peter Wist, who will be joining us. We're just he's wrapping up a personnel matter at the station, so he'll be in at some point. Just to give a brief update on the state of YPD and the things that we've done over the past month. I'll start with our use of force incident. We did not have any use of force incidents in the month of September. However, we did have a significant vehicle pursuit in which we are conducting an administrative review of the incident because it was a significant event. We had some crashes and different things that occurred. So just as a matter of protocol for the police department, we conduct a review of such incidents, but we haven't had any use of force incidents in the month of September. We have one citizen complaint, conduct unbecoming, that is under investigation, that we received in the month of September. For our training, we have 2 officers that completed 1 week of our orientation training that recently graduated the academy. For our professional development, we have 1 sergeant that just completed first line supervision, a 40-hour training block, and then 1 officer is scheduled to attend field training officer school in the next couple days. So to add to our cadre of field training officers. Our recruitment and our manning, we conducted 4 lateral officer interviews 2 days ago. We have 1 sergeant candidate who is currently in the testing assessment process. We have an additional sergeant applicant that just submitted in the portal. The sergeant vacancy is remaining open until we fill all of those vacancies. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we had 2 officers to graduate from the Washtenaw Community College Academy. So we continue to try to, build our staffing levels through laterals and academy. It is a tedious process. It is not easy. All public safety across not only the county, across the state, we're all facing the same challenges in terms of recruitment. So, that's the challenge for everybody. So we're doing the best we can to get qualified applicants in the organization and get them trained appropriately.
I just have a question about administrative reviews. Like, is it something like if there's a pursuit that involves a motor vehicle accident, you guys are automatically doing an administrative review?
So for any vehicle pursuit, there's a review.
Oh, okay.
But now this review is a full scale review. It's where we take into account every aspect of, the incident.
Okay.
So we compare policy, we look at training, we look at all of the activities, all of the behavior and things that the officers did through the course of the review to make sure that we're consistent with our own policy. We look to see if there's gaps in our policy or gaps in training.
Mhm.
So the review serves as it's checks and balance for the organization that allowed us to adjust if we find that, okay, we see an issue in the way in the way the policy is being applicated, or we may find that, there's been, I won't say misconduct, but, inappropriate behavior or, whatnot in the course of it. So it's just a complete and thorough review. It's a larger review because it has so many other implications. As you guys are aware, vehicle pursuits are high severity incident. When, our policy has changed recently on vehicle pursuits. And so it's a restrictive policy. And so it's important that when those things occur, that we review them in an appropriate manner. So it's, it takes some resources.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And what is the policy? Because we've had this conversation previous and we never actually heard it. At one point in time, we were told, YPAC was told, and this is many years ago, that the city of Ypsilanti does not allow vehicle pursuits unless, and then there is the unless, but we were told like that was the plane in which people were talking. And then we were going to have you talk about what the pursuit policy was, but life happens. So what is exactly the auto pursuit?
So we spoke about this in regular council, and I believe it was Councilman Wilcoxon who brought up that very same question when we talked about it. So the policy itself is rather long. So two things, I can give you the Reader's Digest version, and then we can send the policy.
That'd be beautiful. I
You guys
love Reader's Digest.
Yeah, so you can read it, but the Reader's Digest version it's a restrictive policy. So unless there is a felony crime or the person presents a danger to the public, an immediate threat to the public, and the pursuit of that individual does not outweigh the safety of the community, then we won't pursue. That's the Reader's Digest versions. We will not pursue for misdemeanor crimes or infractions. And, the policy, there's a lot of there's a lot of restrictive verbiage that, very well illustrates, even to the point of we won't take a misdemeanor traffic infraction and escalate it to a felony, evade or elude, and then use that as a qualifying measure to conduct a vehicle pursuit. This is a bedroom community, 4.5 square miles. It is mainly residential. And so vehicle pursuits represent one of the highest risks for public safety. We've had incidents in this community in the past where we've been involved in pursuits and they've led to significant injury. It has come at a cost to the community and fiscal costs. And so best practice is we had to, collectively in most, agencies around the country, we've made these policies more restrictive, right? Because we have to balance public safety and apprehension. We have lots of tools to apprehend individuals. We take in the factors like, is the subject, known? Do we know who they are? Well, if we know who they are, we can save it for another day and use a different tactic that is a little bit safer for the community. So the policy outlines all of those things in great detail. It is very directive to my officers, and I want to ensure that officers are following that policy to the letter. And so that's why we conduct such an extensive review of these incidents. Even foot pursuits, it triggers a review.
Thank you. So I'm located on South Huron. So there are regularly pursuits by the sheriff's department lying down South Huron, like on the regular. So clearly the sheriff's department and Ypsilanti Police Department may have different policies then, but my question is, can the sheriff's department trigger the Ypsilanti police policy to get involved?
I understand what you're saying. It's a great question. So what she's asking is, if the sheriff department is involved in a pursuit, does that automatically qualify for the city of Ypsilanti
Right, because
officers?
there's
Well-
a city,
well,
there's a township, and there's.
But I'm hearing, if the sheriff department is in a pursuit, can they, whatever it is, activate the Ypsi police
Right, that's what I'm saying.
getting involved? I mean, as in a call for help or support or whatever, or just does it automatically? That's,
So,
there's,
so a couple things.
Yes, and yes, and yes, yes.
So we're saying the same thing. And here's the answer. The city of Ypsilanti will not get involved in the pursuit of another jurisdiction if it doesn't meet the criteria set forth in our policy. So we will, if it doesn't meet the criteria, we will not. Now, what I can also say though, is, and I can't speak on behalf of the sheriff and all of the sheriff department's policy, but the policies in Washtenaw County, they closely mirror each other, because the sheriff department's policy is also restrictive. So I don't know the particular details. And then there's also a difference in a pursuit and someone responding emergent to a call for service. So there are probably times when you're seeing, perhaps those officers, lights and sirens, and it doesn't mean that they're in a pursuit. They're responding emergent to an emergency call for service. So,
Oh, yeah, I'm aware of those. Hang out on my porch.
yeah, so it may not be, quote unquote, a pursuit, because I know the sheriff department's policy is a restrictive policy as well.
Appreciate that.
and that policy you say is in writing. How long is that policy? I mean, like
Our
3
policy. or the
pages,
sheriff
4
department?
pages, 5, I mean,
You send
I
it to
think,
us?
yes, oh, absolutely.
we
I
can-
think it's about 9 pages, if I'm not mistaken.
oh my gosh, okay.
I'll send it to you and you guys can.
Just see it to check in next month.
Okay.
So we have the policy and we can just check it. So we all know it. Because it's, as you said, it's changed. So this is something that we all should know.
I can't think of a time I've seen a YPD vehicle moving fast with its lights and sirens on. Not that it doesn't happen, but
Yeah, it does.
like on Washtenaw, I see sheriff's vehicles going all over the place all the time. So yeah,
Right.
yeah, we'll do. Noted.
So how many officers do we have with the new people who just completed the orientation?
Right now, we are 13 officers. We have 13 vacancies, so we have 20 officers.
We have 20 officers
And 13 or 12?
and 13 vacancies.
13, yes. Any luck, we'll have a few more of those filled up here in the coming weeks.
Do you have a preference in terms of how many of your vacancies you'd like to fill with lateral hires versus new hires?
So I do. I think it's important that we recognize that the organization is young
Yeah.
in the field. So we're trying to get not a complete balance, but we need to infuse some experience into the organization, but also, new officers.
Yeah, build your own
So-
culture, new.
Helps with the culture, but also longevity. We
Mm-hmm.
want, people to come to Ypsi and stay, for the long haul. So the formula, if we go on a 100% formula, we're probably looking around 60-40, 65, 25. We're in that realm. That's
New to
new to lateral
experience or
experience
lateral,
officers,
okay.
right?
All right.
Now, it is a little bit more difficult with new hires. There's also a significant cost associated with sending people to the academy. The grant is no longer available. We spoke about that previously. So we incur, those costs to put people, in the police academy.
Is any of that cost sort of counteracted by, like, I'm assuming someone who's never been a police officer before starts out earning less money than a lateral
It
hire?
is.
So is there some like, well, even though we have to put them through training, like after 3 years, we net out to,
Right. So
Okay.
we absolutely have a scale. When we bring in people for the academy, they come in at a cadet level.
it.
This was something
Okay.
I implemented once.
Yeah, I
I
remember.
arrived here. So they come in at a different rate because they're in training. Once they graduate the academy and get sworn in and accepted, meet the MCO requirements, then they move to a step one, and then it's all contractual from there.
Yeah. What
Depending on
years of
the
service.
labor agreement,
Yeah.
right?
And I assume that when someone comes laterally, their years of service are
Yes.
counted by the new department. Okay.
That's correct.
All right, cool. Thank you.
That's part of the incentive to, to get people
Move,
to
be
come.
able to move.
Yeah, right.
Willing to
Right.
move.
Okay.
If people move laterally from another agency, I know historically from what I've read is that records don't necessarily move laterally with them.
So there's been a change in that with, through the MCO's process. MCO's requires disclosure
Okay.
of records. There's, in the past, we've had, and I'm sure you've seen some of the articles. We've had instances where officers would just leave one organization and go to the next to escape discipline, or they were problematic officers. So to combat that, now organizations are required to disclose. Me as the chief of police, I'm required to fill out certain forms and disclose to another agency. Even if it was something agreed to in a legal, through some legal negotiations, about discipline or their separation, we are still required and protected to disclose so that the next organization is aware of the behavior of the officer. So that is new to the state of Michigan.
Right. I knew it was new and I knew NCOLS is going through it, but I didn't. And I know that you say that you have mentioned that you give an intensive and extensive interview and screening process.
Yes, that is correct.
And you are looking at all of those as to ensure that people aren't just leapfrogging their way into different
Correct.
organizations.
And this is overseen by MCO, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So when someone goes from one place to another place, MCO knows that this is happening, and they make sure that you get or give whatever information or whatever form needs to happen, or this is something that
Right.
automatically happens
So
with each department or each city.
it's supervised by MCOs. So we're required. They have parameters and standards now for background investigations, and the disclosures are mandatory. So before MCOs will transfer and activate your license, all of those things have to
That
be
happen.
met.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Anybody else have questions on this stuff?
I have a spot on here that I'm going to present, and I'm going to I think direct a couple of my questions to the police chief, or I can ask him
It's
now.
your world.
Or I
We
can
just
ask
live
him
in it.
now. No,
Do whatever you
stop. Stop. So I have a couple of things that I want to bring up or mention, and or I can wait until my turn comes, and then will the chief still be here? Are you guys hanging out? Are you guys just hanging out with us, or
For a little bit.
we've never had this many?
Well, this is also a part of our leadership development.
Okay.
So you're gonna see,
Captain wants to
captain
move
and
on.
lieutenants.
He needs to show up. I got you.
You could hold off because I have
I will.
information, because I have somebody who's interested too, so.
Okay. Okay.
No, I'm good. All right, so why don't we, in the interest of, like, we've got a couple other items here that I think that I would say involve conversations with the YPD representation. So why don't we do those so that if these gentlemen have other stuff they need to do or whatever, we can handle it. So I think I'm the person who put this on the agenda, but I don't actually know what happened. So a shots fired on Harriet August 14th around 5:28 p.m. So
Details.
yeah, just knowing more about what happened, but there's been some emails with city staff in the last couple of weeks. So I just want to be clear that, like, I understand that you guys sometimes are going to have active investigations and you can't answer certain questions. There's no attempt here to, like, hey, but tell us stuff that you can't really but I guess my perspective is that YPD is best equipped to decide where an investigation is and what you guys can and can't talk about. And I think that when the community brings stuff to YPAC, we have a duty to at least bring it up. That's not an attempt to be adversarial or put you guys in a weird position. I think it's totally reasonable to ask. And sometimes you'll say, hey, sorry, we can't talk about it. And I don't have a problem with that. It's not an attempt to do anything other than transmit the message from members of the community who bring things up. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Which shooting incident are you?
Does anyone else here remember I think it was during one of our public comments, someone had brought up like a shots fired situation.
So if it's the incident that I think you're talking about, it's still under investigation. We do not have the suspects identified. We do have leads that we've been working through with some of our other partners, community partners, not necessarily police, but other partners, but they have not been positively identified yet.
Okay.
There was no, no victims per se. No one was struck, but it did occur.
Okay. Thank you. And then Commissioner McCormick, I know you had brought something up last time that a member of the community brought.
Yes, I took a complaint on an incident that happened on the 17th. And just wanted to follow up because she's been following up with me as far as what the status
I mean,
is.
just a little detail and we can.
It occurred it had 3 of your officers involved. It also involved parking and handicap spaces. It was on Hilliard Robinson Way.
Yeah. So if it's the incident I know about on Hilliard, that incident is also a
Under
complaint was
right.
lodged, and we're working through that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
No. Well, you said you didn't want to talk tonight, so I had to maneuver you.
Yeah. We'll send the complainant the resolution.
Okay.
So that they'll know that's, I don't know if that's happened, occurred in the past, but that's part of.
Yeah, I don't think it has occurred in the past, but we are in constant touch, so.
Do complainants, when people make a complaint, I know that there's a new policy, they get a number, and complaints can take anywhere from an hour to many, many, many hours, a long time. Is there anything that triggers, like after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, that the complainant gets a message saying, hey, we haven't forgot about you, we're still working on this, thank you for your patience, just so they don't feel like they're in a black hole?
Unfortunately, we don't have a mechanism in place, because it's the people you see sitting here at the table that are conducting, all of these investigations and reviews. So we don't have a mechanism in place currently, that will say, we let them know, hey, we've gotten your complaint and it's under investigation. And then the next time they hear from us is if we need additional information, got additional questions or with the resolution. So we don't have a mechanism in place right now to say, hey, after X, so many weeks, your complaint is still being, investigated. So we don't. So that's an area we probably can improve on, but we don't have that in place
Okay,
right now.
I know, it just, it's a lot, it is a lot of work. And it's a lot of, I mean, just. it's clerical stuff.
Or it's a computerized work, that word. Complaint comes in, hits the computer. I'm just throwing this out there. There's,
A
complaint
computer.
comes
There's,
in,
there's a program.
computer gets it.
It's a program.
there's-
Program, he goes,
yeah,
okay,
this
we
isn't-
got this on, September 25th. And then, after a week, if there hasn't been any kind of response or whatever, then that computer will spit back to the complainant that still in the process.
Yeah, it's just a version of like any ticketing system.
Otherwise, you have to have a person that's,
Yeah, you have someone who's setting Outlook reminders,
and then, yeah.
But that makes.
which is fine too.
Make a lot of
It's-
sense
it's
for the
an area of
the
improvement.
city and staff to think about, is because if we're talking about, police interactions with the community and the community interactions with the police, and this being the two-way street, I'm gonna now sing with the choir, but if I make a complaint and I don't hear anything, it's gone silent. It's like me texting you and not getting a text back, even if you're busy. I mean, but so it's just here that communication is essential. So maybe having, the question would be is, how would that get triggered? I mean, if you're saying it's a staff thing, it's a city staff thing, is that something that, we could discuss among YPAC that this might be important? Do we bring it up? Does our liaison bring it up? Do you bring it up? Just so people know what they're hearing from, because otherwise they come to us and then we start playing telephone instead of coming directly from one of your 3 emails where, you're the administrative staff saying, we're on it.
I get,
Just putting it out.
yeah, I guess I don't have a sense from the meetings we've had over the last year that like there's so many getting run down that there's even been an opportunity, and I haven't lived here for that long, right? But I assume that there hasn't even been like that much of an opportunity for the public to be like, oh, it's a black hole or it isn't. You know what I mean? I think that there've been like 4 complaints
9
in the
this
last
year.
12 9
This year.
this calendar year, so 1 a month. And how many of those are closed where you've responded to the complainant back?
We got a couple
Okay.
are closed. We, more than a couple. Couple's just 2.
Sure, sure.
Most are closed. Some of them,
Okay.
unfortunately, are a little bit broader.
Yeah. All right. No, and don't get me wrong. I don't
Yeah,
disagree.
but it's
that,
an
like,
area that we can
that's a
improve
gap
on.
to-
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a gap. It's more fiscal, in terms of programming.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I'm also like, then I find myself wondering, just like, what is a reasonable expectation for that kind? Like, if I make a complaint and I'm like, this officer did or didn't do this thing, like, what's reasonable for me, the person making the complaint, to expect in terms of the length of time it's going to take to follow up from a small police department? You know what I mean? It's like, if you're expecting, like, I'm going to get a response in a week, I would say you need to rejigger your.
I can tell you what it
expectations.
is in a school district and as an administrator or as a business owner. I mean, both Herman and I.
I mean, I
share
can
this
tell you
one.
as an employee of like a
employee,
huge
so
software
that's right,
company,
but so
we
this
leave
is a
people in the
rhetorical
dark
question.
for a really long time sometimes.
But from my end, can I speak for you?
Yes, you.
You can't leave people in the dark, because these are people's lives. And these are
Okay.
people, they're concerned, and these are one-to-one direct human lives, dealing with human lives, and all of the people involved are involved, and there's emotions and there's things involved there. So follow-up is in my personal opinion, I'm not speaking for YPAC, would be a priority. Is
And
making
so
sure that
even,
people-
and so I'm clear, like with the schools, for example, even when it's like, it takes 3 months to do the investigation, there's still like
Next.
hey, we don't have any update, but we're working on it. Like,
Expectation.
your
expectations.
query is important to us.
Yep.
Something-
Oh,
okay.
no, it was, And the farther out you go, the sort of the closer they get together.
It's funny, like at my work, we encountered the opposite issue where when people got too many consecutive, hey, here's an update where we have no update, they started to get similarly frustrated as people who had not received any update, right? And so there's definitely a balance to strike. And
Yeah, no, that's interesting. That's curious, but just to
okay,
put it out there.
So does anyone else have stuff around this set of topics? We're almost at you, Herman. I think so. I think that the police budget discussion item was initially meant to get taken off. I did watch the recording. I don't really have, I don't think, questions, but Gail, I
No,
think you're good.
I know I watched it too, so I'm.
Yeah, but okay. So I think, yeah, I'm thinking about what Mr. Wilcoxon was saying about just this. I got to look into this police budget ballot initiative because, like, in my head, like there's something appealing about, hey, if we're going to spend more money on stuff or allocate money differently in some circumstances, I sort of like having some input as a voter in the city. And I also like, I don't know how deep into a budget the individual like voters of a city need to get. It feels like that's what you have sort of elected people for. Be like, hey, we have similar ideas about what's important. I trust you to go make some of these decisions. So I'm interested in looking into it. I watched the video. I mean, I think like tasers are expensive. And I would rather have tasers that definitely work than ones that don't. Like I grew up in New York City and I just read this thing where like part of what happened with an officer involved set of shootings in the New York City subway was like they tried to deploy 2 tasers and they didn't work. And like, sure, there's more to the story. And it feels like having operating less than lethal options is important. So tasers are expensive, which I didn't know, but here we are. But yeah, I don't have any questions around the chief's budget presentation to the finance committee or whoever it was a few months ago. All right, Herman, you want to just do your thing now, and then we can get into the community meeting series subcommittee stuff, and then the open meetings.
Or going
I'm just
different
sort of,
order.
well, because Herman had said that he had some stuff that he wanted to.
Because you're going to leave, right? Okay. So I need the police chief, I believe. So clarification first. Okay, first of all, I believe my position is to be a liaison between the community and the police department.
You
Between the
liaise.
police department and the community. So I'm a go-between, right? That's what I believe that's what I'm here to do. And so part of what we have on our commission, we have 2 spots for, oh, wait, let me back up. So does that mean that we can respond as a commission? Can we respond to community comments? Should we respond?
I think we can.
That's the other
The
thing.
should
That's the other
is a
thing,
separate-
whether we should. So that's something we
Directly
should
to you,
discuss.
but-
So I can just be clear about that, because sometimes things come up and I go, well, yeah, I'd like to jump in on that, or I like to dispute that, or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we need to discuss that. At some point to make sure
I think
that we are
anyone on
clear.
the, as far as I'm concerned, anyone here is totally free to respond to anything.
Whatever the
Like,
community
we don't need
member
some
says.
policy where we're never going to or always going to. Like, as far as I'm
Okay.
concerned, if
Okay,
something that there's something you want to respond to, have at it.
you can do that, right? That-
Well, during like
Wah, wah.
no, it's not a want moment. In council, when we have public comment the first and the second time, is the time for the public to speak, whatever it is that they want to address. But it's not a back and forth type of thing. So it would be we go through public comment and then excuse me, if there is something that a commissioner or a council person or whatever would like to say in response to what was said during public comment, then thereafter, after that section.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Not a like, oh, you're standing up there, let's have a 20
Right,
minute
right, right.
dialogue, but like, here's my, you say your 3 minutes, here's my response. Yeah, okay.
Thanks. All right, that'll help me. So we have 2 spots on our commission for students. And so what I did was I went to Ypsi High School, so you know, and I met with the counselors there, and I asked them. So there, Ypsi High has, which I didn't realize, they have 2 different programs going on. So they have a tech program going on, and they have a STEM program going on, and then there is another program in the city, ACE, which is an alternative
Mhm.
program. All right. So I met with all 3 of those folks, meaning the heading up those programs, and I talked to them about I'm trying to recruit Ypsi students to be on the commission, and I'm looking for 2. I would love it. It was one from one school and another from another school, and so they said, "Well, it sounds like a good idea," and they were wondering, would that be a possible training ground for them to go into the police academy? So I don't know. I'll ask if that's something that could be thought about. So whoever the students would be on this commission would have an opportunity to go. And I don't know. And that was my question for you guys. So who gets to? Does anyone get to just say, "Well, I want to apply for the academy. I'm 18 years old," and then you interview them or you take them through it? Is that possible?
So, couple things. An individual or a student that participated in YPAC, that would bode well, in terms of, considerations for them to
favorably.
be hired into the organization, right?
Okay.
They've already demonstrated a commitment to the community and, taking the time to have some understanding about public safety and specifically YPD. So we would absolutely, consider that. The other question, can anyone apply? Yes, right. You know, the hiring process or the posting of positions, is governed and it has to be equitable, so anybody can apply and they just have to go to the process. If they meet the MQs or the minimum qualifications, then they can proceed in the process. And then, of course, it depends on how they perform in the process.
Thank you. Okay. So now, Roland, so here's where you're going to be included.
Yes, sir.
So I was talking to the counselors about this, and they said, well, our students work and they go to school during the day and then they work in the evening. Is there some sort of a stipend? Because if a student is making $15 an hour, a lot of them are trying to help out with their families. I hadn't even thought about that, but they're helping with their families. So if there was a stipend, where they could get their, an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever they're here with us, then that would be helpful in recruiting people that would, or young people that would want to, participate. And so I said I would throw that out at the commission, and I'm sure that's part of our whole budget thing. I don't know if that could be something that we could request. That happens.
So if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was in an email where I think you said something about the reimbursement or like putting up money for the Uber or Lyft fees for youth members.
And that was the other quick they asked. They says, well, because I said, well, I didn't want to get myself in trouble, but I probably did.
Right.
I said, I'm retired. I go to the meeting. I go anytime. I can go pick them up,
Right.
bring them to the meeting, and take them back. Now, first of all, I know better because I don't need to set myself up in any kind of situation, bringing anyone anywhere, as a single man, just
right.
So I should know better than that. But they said, well, what about, is there an Uber voucher or something they can get? Because these students some of them don't have, a way to get there and back. And so that would be something they would, be interested in also.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that 'cause we've had conversations in the past about getting funding for events and things of that nature, but I don't think that it would be a stretch to say that potentially funding youth members to be on YPAC is out of that realm of
Well,
possibility. I can get in contact with Andrew to see the specifics for it
that
and
would
get
be- I
back with
would
everybody.
appreciate that,
But
'cause I got to go back and report back to them, because they're looking forward to hearing. They were excited about it. They said, "Oh, well, get Ipsy students," and that's the other thing. That's my response to Kat. Yeah, I'm looking at Ipsy, I guess, city proper, and I'm looking at people representing the wards there. That's my focus, or my encouragement, if you will. And so that these students are people who are here in the city, who are going to live in the city, who grew up in the city. They want to, they want to be a part of what's going on in the city. So that's my push. I mean, I'm sure there are students from outside, in the township or whatever, that would be, willing and able, because they're outside of the city, more than likely able to, finance their own whatever to get here. But I'm looking at really trying to bolster Ypsilanti City as much as we can with our own in-house folks, youth, officers. And so I want to be able to take that information back.
Hey, so one thing I'm thinking about, Herman, and it may all end up being the answer is no, but I guess my focus would be not on it. It's probably hard, and I don't disagree with you in principle, but I feel like compensating people for attending YPAC meetings is probably a non-starter, right?
We're not talking about people, we're talking students.
Students are people too.
I'm talking about, well, I know, we're not talking about, I know, all right, I'm sorry. We're talking about students, man, who are, I mean, they're just trying to make it. They're trying to help their
Totally.
family make it too. So it would be hard for them.
wait, was your question about was it about traveling to and from?
There's two questions. It was Ubers, and it was like some sort of replacement for the money that they would be earning at a job.
Oh, I'm not too sure about the replacement for the money earned, but I think it's possible to have the travel.
I will buy some
Whatever.
King and Co pizzas one Thursday a month for these students.
But
I would too.
I can get more
Pretty
information
good.
on that for you though. I can get more information.
Okay, would you please on
I
that?
will absolutely.
All right, and sooner than later, because they've been waiting on me to get back to them. They were excited. They thought, oh, we can get, and a compliment to you. They said, Chief, they said, who's the, I said, yeah, we got a new chief. His name is Moore. Yes, yes. He came here and they were excited. The students were excited. They really appreciated the fact that you came and you presented to them. So I want to thank you. That's the first thing I should have said, Chief. I'm sorry. But yeah, they really appreciate it. I thought, okay, he is, get out there. Yeah. He is taken care of. Thank you so much.
I assume, Herman, that maybe there are people who, because like, I tend to agree that having the widest net possible in terms of applicants is always ideal, right? And so there are probably going to be some students who are not able to participate if there's no or remuneration involved, right? But I guess I think while Councilmember Tucson runs this down, it's probably worth just continuing to see, like, because
Yeah.
I'm sure there's also students who are like, yeah, my mom will drop me off and pick me up,
Right.
or whatever.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to pursue that, but I wanted to,
Yeah.
I wanted to give them
For sure.
an answer to those questions. And thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So do students have the same application, Roland, as
I'm not sure.
non-students?
I think it was the
Actually,
same.
I think it is the same application. There's just a line there for
I'm a
student.
student.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
think it
and
is.
if they have they just fill it out and send it to you?
It'll just send it in and it'll come to every council member. We can all look at it.
Where, to be clear, we don't get periodic emails saying your application is still being processed. I remember from when I did it, just maybe one day.
Thank you, Eric.
Feels especially relevant.
Thank you.
I got a
Absolutely.
letter.
Thank you.
I got nothing.
The application's online, and when you fill it out, it automatically gets sent to the council.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have
Thank
to
you.
be online to do it. There's no paper.
That is the way it's done. I mean, I'm sure if you dropped it off or something, we could scan it and then send it, but if to know for sure it went to all council members, if you did it online, it automatically goes to all council members.
Okay, well, that we're talking internet. So we're talking accessibility. So I'm just thinking, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there more for?
I think that unless I don't have anything
I have
else.
two things that I would like to just put in front of you all.
You're not doing the update on that.
Can I jump? Eric, do I have permission to jump?
Always.
Thank you.
I move that you jump.
My first question is the lockdown at the high school today? Were you all, were Ypsi police there on site?
Township.
No.
I know it's township, but
No, we were not involved, and it was not as reported like an active shooter. So here's what's important, and let me say this.
this is why I want it out in public.
Yeah, everyone keeps throwing the word or the words active shooter around anytime there's any type of incident at a school, and that's not the correct thing to do, right? Words matter, and I think we need to be very careful in how, we activate active shooter, because that triggers a certain response from public safety. We don't want children harmed in our community, so everyone's coming. So it wasn't an active shooter event, but somehow through, People Network, it went around like that again, and that causes undue panic
That's what
in the
students.
community, and so it creates a problem. So so we've been thinking about, how do we, educate the public, because there are differences, and we don't want to cry wolf 1,000 times, and then if something happens for real, we don't have the appropriate response. So I think that's very important. But YPD wasn't a part of that response because it didn't necessitate that. It was just an unruly student and some, specifics said by that kid, but it wasn't, YPD wasn't involved.
As I said, I'm just getting this on record.
Wait, is part of that sometimes the media? Or, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
I mean, don't point, you don't have to point at anyone, but I'm
yeah,
just saying.
some social media, but what happens is, if we whispered in each other's room here, three
Telephone game,
words,
that telephone
by the
game.
time it got to this end,
Yep.
it's something else. So when
Yep.
people pick up different pieces, and so when they spread it, or they, try to tell, and some of it is not meant to be harmful. They're trying to,
Right.
I need to call and let, so-and-so know, because I know they have a child there. It just ensues and creates, that angst and that panic, which I completely understand as a parent myself. So, again, words matter, and we have to be careful that we don't create a situation and environments where people have the potential to get hurt unnecessarily.
And my next one is, as you know, I'm located right on South Huron. I've talked many times about what I've, as a business owner, have had to do to get my staff safely parking. And we have to walk people into the public parking because of the people looking for money, looking for various things. I've brought that up many times. Driving, I mentioned to the captain the other day when I was in, I had to stop in the middle of the road twice while deals were going on. And so there's that concern. I'm now going to look under my tiny little microscope because I am responsible for many teenagers where I am. People are starting to come where we are and hang out in the back area. So when the kids are out playing basketball, they're cutting through. These are observations. I understand there's so many different layers to this, but I wanted to just sort of let you all know what's going on. I know that the house that is next to ours, the one with the greenhouse that's behind that nobody's lives in, it's been abandoned for a while. It was, you know, youth were there for a number of years and they kept it clean. And I'm like, you guys got to keep this clean. You got to keep it good. We have, you know, while that they were moved out by the owners. The owner still hasn't done anything. It's now, I've repeatedly report the house. And it's now moving in different directions. My concern is, well, that and the teenagers I work
Safety of
with.
the kids.
It's safety of the students that I work with. So yeah, as I said, I'm trying, you know, just observations that I keep trying to bring up and the changes. I know I drove down the other day and there's an officer sitting in the middle of the road, moving people along. You know, is there other alternatives of just walking around or, I mean, I'm not going to get into your jobs. But just as I said, while I have three of you here to listen to me, it's just my observations as somebody who is there 8 hours a day. So,
We're looking at all the alternatives and things that we can utilize, to help us mitigate some of those things that are occurring. We're getting what I would consider a significant number of complaints from not just the business community, but now we're getting from, individual, residents, right? And so now there's this balance, right? About, okay, over policing and responding, to calls for service. Well, if, individual residents, they're witnessing, suspected, drug deals or, other nefarious activity, but they don't call, we can't respond, investigate, and perhaps, do something, about that. And not every call, of course, ends in enforcement, right? There's a lot of alternatives to what we do, but we have to be made aware. And so that's part of the problem. But the other piece, though, when, as the organization, grows, and then we're able to look at crime in a very different way than just traditional policing, then we're able to move resources, in the right way. And so and those resources are people resources. So as we get those people, then it increases our ability to be a little bit more judicious with where we put people and how that interaction happens. So it's a delicate balance. It really is. For us, if we can get, close to staffed, it would make our lives a little bit easier.
And if I may be as bold, and I'm definitely going to be speaking as a human being, not on the commission right now, what is the city manager doing? Like, as far as supporting or making changes or looking at this big picture, because it feels like the community looks at it, the policing's looking at it, but there's somebody who is responsible. That would be the city manager, the mayor, and all the council people. That, there's a lot of talk, but, and you can't answer that
Yeah,
question.
I
'Cause you
can't
cannot-
speak on
You
behalf
cannot
of.
talk for other people, so
Yeah.
my apologies for giving you that, but it's just, it's like, there's frustration on many levels because there are people who need solid services that need to be there, and YPAC and HRC has tried to come together and create some but we were told we couldn't do it. And so YPAC has tried to do things and then we were told we couldn't do it. I can't speak for HRC, but it seems like there's a lot of things that get tried, but a lot of words saying, but you can't do it. That is not in, what was the fancy word that we were told?
Purview is in
No,
there.
it wasn't purview, it was, anyway, but
Oh.
there was,
Mhm.
it was, I will look at, anyway, it doesn't matter. but there just seems to be a lot of saying what we can't do instead of what's happening,
What is it? Yeah.
you know.
And I want to,
That's my own, but anyway.
but I want to piggyback on what you just said, because part of my frustration, honestly, is that we were working hard, and I mean, we were working hard to try to get a mental health forum going. And it bothers me that I guess we're in some sort of a holding pattern right now, or it's just out. But I think you, as the police chief, if this was a priority of yours, I would like to see you to also encourage that we have some sort of mental health gathering forum, so you can look at, you say you want to do things differently. I'm hoping that that's truly what you mean. Is I want to look at how we police differently, and mental health is a part of this, that we could look at some different ways of incorporating that to help, one, the police department, but two, the community, to know that this is a priority in this city. This is something that we want to address, something that we want to move forward on. I'm not trying to change what you do, but I am trying to incorporate some other resources or some other opportunities for the police department to grow and to expand and to be effective in the community, for the community, not just with the community, but for the community. I'm hoping that folks will see that, but Herman needs, Chief Moore to say, yeah, this is something that's important to me. And whatever we can come up with, we can try to move and see how it could possibly work, or how it could possibly be an advantage to us also.
And to piggyback on his piggyback we were told, that mental health is safety, and safety is mental health. There's a 1-to-1 correlation. To say that to do something with mental health, or to just look at South Washington Street, is when I have to walk my employees in the middle of the afternoon across the street so they can get in their cars, that's a safety issue. And I have people that I now have to talk to about their mental health of, are you okay? And this is what's happened. I have kids outside playing basketball that are getting stopped. And so now I have the safety, but there's that connection. So, any help we can get in trying to get the community to discuss, to open, to move forward, and that we are all with this together, so we can stop hearing you can't do that.
We've got a section about this that we haven't covered yet.
You said I had free reign.
Yeah, no, I don't, and I meant it.
I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. So thank you for, and I realize that, but these were very much of my, concerns, and it's like everything, it's very layered. And, the trainings that I do on mental health with youth, it's like, there's so many different layers, and, we're dealing with youth. So.
I understand.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Anything else? Gentlemen? Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good evening.
Show's not over, so you're more than welcome to stay, but have a good night. All right, so we're on this community forum thing already, so we might as well continue. I did talk to Commissioner Layton, or Chairperson Layton, earlier this week, and I've seen the emails that have been sort of zipping around about this topic. I guess my take is Attorney Barr's very specific beef with the way it was currently worded was neither of these commissions have anything to do with healthcare. And so, I mean, I spoke to Chairperson Layton about this already, but my take is just like, go back into the resolution and take out any reference to wellness, which is a word that's in it, and like add the word, you know, is like discrimination and some other word, or in HRC's charter, add that word a few times. Like, this feels straightforward, if frustrating to me, as a, like, just the attorney gave very specific reasons for why he said it was out of scope. Take that out of the scope. I guess it feels like it's doable. My takeaway wasn't this whole thing is a non-starter. It was this wording is a non-starter. So change the wording and see what he has to say about the changed wording. And that's not a statement on whether or not I agree with the current interpretation, right? I'm just saying, like, it's probably, I guess this is just like round one, so it feels doable. Now, I'm mostly interested to hear from the two of you about how it's been going as our subcommittee members from YPAC. I don't have to talk.
Ladies first. That's a cop out. No.
Yeah.
So
I can't.
I don't mind starting. So it's been challenging, and I think it has mainly to do with not being clear as to what direction we really wanted to head in, and then not having for me, it has to do with specifically not knowing who, or not knowing the skill set of the mediators or the facilitators, so that they can be involved in the planning of things. And so it's just been difficult for me to kind of, kind of throw things out there. Well, I'd like to see this happen, but does that make sense, for the facilitator? And to be, I guess the other part is not knowing how to fund it also comes into play, because, well, we would like to do this, this, or this. And so, well, that's going to cost. Well, then now we got to go through, city council to ask for funds. And then if they're not approving of, they want to know, well, what is it that you're doing? Well, we can't be exactly clear. We have a general overview of what we want, but we can't be, give you specifics. And so, we have that trouble, going on. So, and then I guess lately with Attorney Barr, it turns out that, it's like what we're trying to do, it seems like it's not in our, I use the word purview. It's not, what? How,
You have to have a specific plan, bottom line, legal.
which makes sense. But again, there are pieces that need to come together in order to get that specific plan. We need to have this person and that person and those people.
Because the city doesn't have the money. Look to the state, look to the county.
Now, that's a whole nother
Oh my God.
thing thrown in, wrench thrown in the works.
Well, when it comes to paying for these events, right? So let's throw a random event out. Let's not even specifically on this one. Let's say we wanted to throw an event for YPAC specifically, where we wanted to just have a place where people in the community can meet new officers, ask them questions, ask us questions about YPAC, so on and so forth. And let's say that it was going to cost $500 in total, $200 for the location, $100 for food and whatever else, right? To bring that to council, there's a form that we would fill out, where you would either put the invoices for, well, you would put the invoices for whatever services are being that need to be paid for, and then it gets sent to a council and we vote on it. So yeah.
I guess I'm not part of the subcommittee. I trust you two completely. Perhaps having just one meeting, just one forum on one topic.
Yeah,
Like the scope has been the problem with this thing, in my opinion, from the get-go. Because it was 3 meetings and it was all these dates, then it's, oh, we think it's this amount for the facilitator. Oh no, it's this amount per hour for the facilitator. Blew the budget out of the water. Then it's, you know, a location 3 times and food 3 times and advertise and flyers 3 times, etc. And I think like we also don't necessarily, I think, have a great sense in this moment of what like sort of 2 and 3 are even going to look like. Because the last time I was involved in a conversation about this, it was like, all right, let's get 1 going and then like we'll have a better idea. So why would we put ourselves in the position of starting to plan 2 and 3 if 1 like is important to figure out what the format and function of 2 and 3 are going to be? So I also think it just like, to me, it seems like it lowers the degree of difficulty a little bit logistically. And I don't know. That's it.
I don't agree. And
Okay.
and for me, the meetings have been amazing,
Okay.
just in the sense that we started with this like amazing idea that something needs to happen. And YPAC was continually hearing about mental health and healthy, what a healthy community looks like. HRC, I can't speak for. And the 2 commissions came together, and the first couple of meetings, we really were all over the place because it was
new.
exactly like 2 commissions coming together, like, and
Okay.
bringing together ideas. And so there were 2 meetings, 6 hours, 5 hours, whatever, of just ideas flying, you know, and writing things down and getting it together and honing in. We learned about facilitators and mediators. We learned about the money process. I think the money process, the money is like the least of our worries.
Couldn't agree more.
In all honesty, it's like, if the city really wants to say that this is a concern, then they're going to support us or they're not going to support it. That's, I mean, you know, that goes. What we were working on in this is, we got down to the nitty gritty. Like we were talking about, so who are these forums for? Like, and we all agreed upon residents of Ypsilanti, and we defined residents, and we defined all of the different levels. So when the resolution was written, we outlined this. Does this need to be tweaked and happen? Absolutely. But it is 10 steps closer to bringing together commissions and people and lived experiences of what this community, where we can start and what we can do possibly to build it, or to at least hear and recognize what can happen. Because if I'm hearing us, at least part of us, from what I'm hearing, is it's impossible for us to walk in this meeting and say what we want to hear, because that we're describing what we need to hear versus taking the time to hear it. So
Okay.
just, you know, it's a step, and it's sad that it got, you know, pushed down, because much of what I was talking about was with the chief is, it's not in any of our purview, but is exactly our purview. Because if we're not going to talk about the health of the community, you can't talk about the safety of a community.
So I have no problem with the scope. Just so we're clear. I think that the issue is purely one of logistics.
Right.
And like what I had to say was only an effort to try to smooth out.
Oh, yeah, no, oh, nice. And thank you
Yeah, yeah.
for your smoothing,
But
but
I think so. Commissioner Layton and I spoke earlier this week, and I don't know the process on this one, Lori, but there's a idea to try to get a joint session of HRC and YPAC together, potentially during the week of October 7th. I don't, specifically, I think, to discuss this series with everybody there. I think we've got kind of the subcommittees, but I think part of the challenge is like, we just, even if the subcommittees are meeting super regularly, like they still have to go back to their respective commissions to actually get anything submitted or moved forward. And so we're still on basically a 1 meeting a month cadence to try to actually make decisions and submit things to council. And so it feels like, I mean, it's the end of September now. Like once we hit sort of Thanksgiving and Christmas time, we're smoked for those last 6 or so weeks of the year. So it feels like early October is sort of the last opportunity to try to have a joint meeting that's outside the regular cadence to try to figure out what the plan is here.
or if we're gonna have, I guess my question is moving it forward or stopping the process.
Yeah, and I guess I don't want to make a decision about stopping.
But no, I'm just,
Like I want to do.
What about not stopping it, but we could take a pause and fine tune everything? You know, we could still have the joint meetings. We can fine tune everything and you can kick the year off with this,
Like a target.
with this,
January thing
yeah,
or
with
whatever.
this forum where everybody is all on the same page. We've got funding, we've got the resolution without health in it. We have a chance to take care of all these things.
So why don't we try to figure out if we can meet that second week of that first full week of October as a joint session, and then we can talk about with the HRC folks. Yeah.
That the subcommittee made an appointment with the city manager and actually met with him to discuss it, so that instead of going back and forth with emails, back and forth and being shut down, to actually be able to have a Q&A with him, maybe then invite him to one of these meetings for a Q&A for everybody, but maybe the subcommittees could find out what exactly you can and can't do, so it's like drawing it out. And actually, I agree with the January, because we're going into the election, so we have a lot going on here. But I really think having a meeting with the city manager, where the subcommittees could do that, and then come back and bring back that information, so that we can figure out what the heck.
I think that having a meeting with the city manager sounds like a really great idea. I think that in my head, there's like, it's not an either or. Like, I would still be happy. If you guys want to, if you want to wait, that's fine too. Like, I'd be happy to find time that week in October for a joint meeting with HRC. If there's stuff that you guys want to discuss, either having already met as a subcommittee with the city manager, or to plan for a meeting as a subcommittee with the city manager. And I'm also happy to like have you guys set up a meeting with the city manager, meet with the city manager, and come back in a month, talk to the Police Advisory Commission about it. Folks from HRC will do the same in their commitment, and then we can figure out the timing of a joint session after that. I have no horse in this race. I'll do whatever the rest of you guys think is. But I'm happy to meet in October outside of our HRC joint session. I think the decision would have to be made tonight in terms of our commission saying, here's when you're the night or nights that we are available, so that HRC can talk when they meet.
Well, they meet again on October 17th, according to this schedule.
Oh, sweet.
And then we would get together on October 24th. So if we met the week prior to their meeting, I think we would get a whole lot more understanding of what direction we're going in. And then HRC can discuss it in their meeting on the 17th, and we could finalize a lot of things in our meeting on the 24th. And then the subcommittee could get together and just fine tune.
All right, so what days the week of October 7th is everybody here available for a joint session with HRC? And then we can get with Lori and city staff to see when this place is available, when HRC is available, and try to do it. I am available the 7th, 9th, 10th that week.
I can do 7, 8, 10, 11.
I'm on the Olympic Peninsula.
Oh, I thought you said the 15th.
No, I'm gone for 2 days.
What are you doing?
So if you want to go to the Olympic Peninsula in Washington State,
It's gonna be awesome.
no,
The flight into that neck of the woods is always, that's always.
live there, done that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there would still be enough of us where it would be.
We don't need you.
We'd
Send us a
communicate everything
postcard.
with you, Gail. Whoa.
We need you. I'm just saying that because I feel sad.
You know, send you a whale.
All right, so I'm sorry, you said which days?
I can work it out.
All right. I can do 7, 9, 10.
Me too.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Or,
whatever.
okay.
I'm retired.
Yeah, so we'll,
Dream.
what days work with HRC,
Okay,
and then we'll get it
so
on books.
what do we need to do sort of procedurally now? Just send you an email or so, it's not a motion deal? Okay,
No, I think we did it before. It's two members can bring it, or I think, I don't exactly remember.
Okay,
But I
all right.
know if you all agree,
okay.
But as far as availability of a facility to hold this meeting,
I would.
that we got
Okay,
paid.
yeah, yeah.
But city council meets on the Tuesday.
It's the off week though.
Oh, it is there.
That week's the off, because they're first and third, right? So, and this is second, well, no, this is the first Tuesday.
No.
Oh, no, it's the second Tuesday. Yeah,
Second.
yeah. I spent a lot of time on the City of Ypsi website the last few days, so now I know some more stuff than I used to. Okay, so if it's, I will correspond with Commissioner Layton about HRC's availability, and then I or she will email you with the joint availability and what the day that we most prefer is, and we'll go from there. Okay, awesome, thank you. Any other stuff about the community forum series right now? I am pleasantly surprised at what I feel like is decent progress. Okay. Open Meetings Act. I asked for this to be put on because part of the set of emails that I kept reading over the last 2 weeks was about how no commission that's part of, like, no City of Ypsilanti commission meets the requirements to be subject to the Open Meetings Act. So I understand, because we don't have any like governmental administrative function or authority. That's like almost verbatim. So no,
Because we can't.
Verbatim.
that was said. Okay.
In that packet, there's a list of the different boards. Anyone that actually makes the decision has to do the Open Meetings Act, so that'd be like the zoning boards of appeal.
Right.
So all of those have to do OMA. If you're advisory and you don't make decisions for the city, then it's not, but the city requires you to, but it's not legally.
I think that right now YPAC is the only, didn't we have
We're the
a
only
whole
ones
set
that have
of-
to follow the Open Meetings Act.
And because it came up for something in front of council in the second reading and all.
Mhm.
And, but the bottom line is, it wasn't. It was only advisory or not under the Open Meeting Act. It's city policy, not the same thing. And so like even the bylaws, I don't really know how else to say it. We've gone through it like a zillion times. It's, unless you come to a public body that comes to a decision that affects the city, then those ones have to be the Open Meetings Act. If it's advisory where you're discussing and then you bring it to council, then it's not. But the city requires you still, as a best practice, to still be transparent.
Yeah, we're totally, so my position in bringing it up isn't that, hey, guys, actually found a loophole and we've never been subject to it. Like, I know, I don't know what the story is with the other commissions. I know that YPAC remains subject to the Open Meetings Act.
Right.
I kind of want to bring it to council again, because my perspective here is that what we've traded for kind of a murky idea of transparency that is like, as a body that has no meaningful power, I'm not sure what sorts of decisions could be made via email, etc., if we were not subject to the Open Meetings Act, that would actually materially affect anything. And what I think the actual real life effect that I've seen in the last year and a half is that things that would take a month to get done take 9 months to get done, because we meet once per month. And so I just like, I have been thinking about it. I would personally like to maybe take another run at city council around removing the requirement that we be subject to the Open Meetings Act, or because again, I just don't have a sense that the trade-off here has done anything but make it harder to get things done, because we cannot communicate as a body outside of a meeting that happens once per month. And so it's like, we run a resolution up at city council, and then we have to wait a month when it's like, nope, here's why you can't do this. Instead of, hey, let's rejigger it right now. And hey, everybody agree with this? Cool, let's try it again. And I absolutely acknowledge that there are a gazillion situations that like I can't think of or am not thinking of where but as I see it, the net effect of OMA on YPAC has been one of hindering our ability to take action, and the benefit of that in terms of like sort of public transparency is something that I do not see. So that's my take. I'm interested in what you guys think, and I'm totally prepared to have you all say, nope, OMA is absolutely the most important thing. It doesn't matter if it takes 8 times as long. But
Makes too much sense.
I'm curious, and I hear you. I mean, I 100% hear you, and this frustration is from not only being here, but also being the chair. But now we have the training, we have the videos, and we have Lori. We have, and somebody who is feeding us information to move forward. So I'm curious and to experience as we have this conversation, if things are going to change, because a lot of what we heard before is we heard, I'm going to own it. I heard that we got on this path, and then we went down this.
yeah.
I led us down this path.
Oh, that was the wrong path. Why'd you go down that?
Right, only to be told that there was a gate there, that nobody told me
Right.
that there was a gate, because that was the path that I was.
And we're
put on.
starting over, yeah.
So, and then we had to start over, and we did many start overs.
Okay.
So now we have, this training that happened that I'm sad I missed, but I now have paper and the video for it, so I can watch it. So there's this training, and we have somebody who is spending time feeding us information that is going to help.
Okay, I'm.
I mean,
happy to-
so-
You
so-
want to table it for a few months? I will take another.
Or
look
we
at
can,
this
or we
again.
can just do a divided, I mean, do a divided highway. I mean, do both, like have the conversation, but we don't have to make any, I have no idea, but
No, in theory, I believe in like what the OMA represents. I just can't help but feel like in practice for the entirety of the time I've been a part of this, it hasn't served anything other than to hinder action. And I struggle to see the benefit that counterbalances that hindrance. And I agree that Lori has been amazing. And so we are in a different spot than I think we've been historically.
Right.
So I have no problem continuing to try to learn the lay of the land for a few months. And, we can talk in January. I don't know if we're gonna talk any
Give
later
it-
than that.
2 months or so. I mean,
Okay.
see, I know I can't ask you to say something, but I will.
Again, request clarity around that from the city manager and city attorney. And so that we could finally get, whatever it is, like point blank. Because I read the resolution before, I read about the second reading, I read all that. But then when we went to city attorney, he said what I just said to you.
Yeah.
that the was removed legally so that we could not get sued. So that's through the ordinances, the law.
Right.
So it was removed from the law, but it was still said as a best practice, you still had to do it, like the city was enforcing it.
Mhm.
And so that's my understanding. And so, but we could ask for clarity around that and have.
That'd be great.
Because really your request is wanting to get it removed, period, so that you could be able to speak. And I just want to say about the Open Meeting Act, it's supposed to be that you're not getting together as a group talking about stuff that the
Right.
people would want to see. And so, so then that's why you're supposed to do the subcommittees. And so
Right.
I don't know why you couldn't all be in the subcommittee, but I don't know. But I could definitely ask any of these questions that you're wanting to know so that we can get all this stuff. So the next time we meet, you have more stuff. And as I said, just keep asking me what is you're wanting to find out. And I've been researching like crazy.
Yeah,
as
you
guys
sure have.
know. And I know. And I
We
I know
appreciate it.
detail,
Yeah, we
but
love
I
it. We love it. Okay.
To try to move us through.
Yeah, one thing I'm interested in is like what the penalties are if we are not legally bound. Not that I plan on just ignoring it, but I see the $500 fine stuff, but I don't know if that's like a law thing or,
But I just heard that we,
I believe you'd be decommissioned.
ah,
That is
can't
my
have that.
understanding.
you
Okay.
have your Thursday evenings.
It's a big enough stick.
And Eric, you stated that we're the only commission
I think so, but it
Right.
seems like there's maybe.
that
some
is
confusion.
subject, that's,
Same thing, where legally it's been taken from the ordinance, but the city is still saying as a best practice for transparency to continue to do it.
Okay.
for
That's
us or for all the commissions,
all.
all the commissions.
I don't know if any that
Okay.
are, but only some are under legally the ordinance. And then you have a city saying they still want you to do it.
Okay.
So everyone is being required to do it. I don't know of any that's not.
Okay,
But I'm not.
Thank you.
I'm-
No, that's, I've got,
Okay, just say okay. We'll figure it out because we were always told that it's just YPAC that has to follow the
Yeah.
Open Meetings Act
Yeah.
and the other commissions were not.
And
That
they
was,
were
that was
taken
before you came.
they were taken from Open Meetings Act, and a few of us went in front of city council to make sure that we didn't get blended with another commission. Or we won't go there, but then, and the other thing is that we kept Open Meetings Act for the very purpose that it made sense as a commission that the police supported and the community supported the police. And what we were doing is that everything
Was above the table.
say that louder,
Was above the table.
was above the table. So there wasn't any of this like conversations in restaurants after with more than, so it was very clear that we had that and that we were following it. Oh,
love to be able for us finally to be able to put some really strong line in the sand so we could finally understand.
But then the wind will blow.
Right, okay, let's do it, right.
All right, so as I think you guys have been doing, but if you guys have questions that we want Lori to sort of help us answer for the next meeting, let's just shoot her an email over the next couple of weeks. As a reminder, everybody's able to put stuff on the agenda by just emailing Lori. So what I've been doing is sort of sending her an initial, like my initial couple bullet points, and then she'd send it to everyone saying, here's the agenda so far, and then you guys can. I don't have anything else about OMA right now. I'm happy to wait for a little while till I boil over again, and then we'll be back here. We will be back here. I don't have any more stuff on the agenda. We can kick it into public comment if that's cool with everybody else.
Oh, let me chime in really quick. So in the past, and I'm pretty sure it's just a whole transitional thing, right? As far as like the liaison reports go for YPAC, I take my notes. I got a whole page of notes here, but once again, like if we could like all collectively like just email me before a meeting, like let's say for the October meetings, the 1st and the 15th, if anybody wants to email me like any notes or things that they want highlighted in my liaison reports, just shoot them over to me, and then I'll add them to my notes, and I'll make sure that
Okay.
they get
Awesome. Thank you.
During the meeting, you get my text.
yeah quick.
While he's standing up there,
He
phone
was. I was
buzzes.
like,
Yeah.
But yeah, just let's just keep that trend going because that was cool. So that's all I got.
Cool. Thank you.
Oh, actually, that is not all I have. I'm so sorry.
Sneaky.
I'm so sorry. I gotta sneak this one in. To circle back around to speak to the South Washington Street thing that's going on in our community. I had recently received a call from Council Member McLean in Ward 2, and he was speaking to me about a potential resolution focusing on downtown safety. I don't know if it's finalized. I don't know if there's any other versions that he wants to work with city manager, other council members to figure out. But it's a resolution essentially to kind of direct the city manager to use whatever resources that we have appropriately to remedy that situation, so that on the citizen side of the community, it doesn't seem like the city itself just is throwing their hands up saying we don't care. So yeah. And yeah. So I don't know if this is going to be coming to the 1st October meeting, 2nd October meeting, or the November meeting. I'm not too sure, but I just wanted to let you all know that it's out there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And any questions, if you do have them, you can contact the author of this resolution, which is Councilmember Patrick McLean. Yeah.
Or we can, yeah, if we have questions, wanting to know more information.
Mhm.
Or also, if he has ways that we can be involved.
Absolutely.
please let him know that that's why we're here.
Absolutely.
Not why we're here, but it could be a reason.
Right.
It could be used.
Right. I got you. And that's all I have. I promise.
It's okay. We'll be at announcements soon. And then if you have more stuff, you can just let us know again, sir.
I got you.
Okay. So now I think we're at public comment. If there's anybody.
Hello again, YPAC. So real quickly, I have the strong line in the sand for you all regarding the Open Meetings Act. I did a little bit of research, and so there was a subcommittee formed last year called the Boards and Commissions Subcommittee, which was developed to discuss ways to improve the efficiency and efficacy of IPSI's boards and commissions. At the October 3rd, 2023 City Council meeting, it was then decided to remove the Open Meetings Act requirements for all boards and commissions. It was voted on through Resolution 2023-195, if that's something you want to look into. City manager said that removing OMA would prevent the need for quorum, which would improve efficacy. And then the city clerk at the time, who was Aaron Smith, pointed out the need, they needed to have an ordinance removed or an ordinance change in order to do that for YPAC, because YPAC was the only commission that had OMA in the city charter and the code of ordinances, So the only one. So everyone else was assumed because we're governing bodies, and that's a state law, a governing body that makes decisions. And whenever you are recommending resolution proposals and ordinance amendments, that is a decision, right? So that is a decision-making body. And so OMA was officially removed from all boards and commissions on October 3rd. October 17th, 2023, YPAC Commissioner Mr. Humes was the only commissioner that came and spoke to the council, basically saying, why weren't the commissioners informed that you're trying to remove OMA? Sorry, I maybe didn't get to your comment then, but this was, he was basically asking, like, why wasn't YPAC commissioners notified about this? And then it was told by Mr. Barr at the time that OMA only applies to public bodies that can take action, which is implying that OMA has never really applied to boards and commissions because they've only been advisory and never had any power, which is also not true. And the city manager said that in order to assist the flexibility of the commission and the staff and try not to remove the public nature of the bodies. And so it was then where they tabled it because one person made a comment that was saying, please don't do this during the public hearing. Can we wait? We weren't informed. So they tabled it. The next meeting, November 7th, 2023, it was then where they decided to, City Manager Andrews said that if OMA is violated by a commission, then there's no recourse that would fall on the city. Rather, the only recourse would be a fine that would be a penalty on the commission or the commissioners themselves. And so then that was during a consent agenda. Councilmember King moved to remove this resolution from the consent agenda, to move it to be untabled. And then whenever it was untabled, they decided to vote on it again. And November 21st, they voted no, everyone. So yes, YPAC still has OMA. Thank you.
I don't think anyone, whatever. Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you. That was a lot of great research. Appreciate that. It was very clear.
It was a lot of research. Anyone else?
It's a race.
Hi again, Corn, Ypsi Township. So a couple people got up and talked about, or one person got up and asked about Washington Street, and then you were also talking about Washington Street. So I was at a meeting with a couple local business owners, the city manager, the police chief, the mayor, a couple other city council members, and some folks from Growing Hope, Fed Up, and Care Based Safety. And the folks, this was a month to 6 weeks ago, and the folks from Growing Hope and Fed Up were basically asking for some support from YPD. So since then, YPD has been doing regular checks on Washington Street. We've had several participants that have been picked up for warrants. We've had several participants who have been trespassed. And so what happens when the police pick someone up is they pick them up, they take all of their belongings, they lock them up, they book them, lock them up temporarily, they release them with some of their belongings, and then they're back out on the street with less than what they had before. So if what they're doing to get funds to live is sex work, they now need to do more sex work in order to live. If what they're doing is selling substances, they need to sell more substances. If what they're doing is taking from other people, they're going to take from other people. So since that request for more police presence, as you pointed out, things have gotten significantly worse on Washington Street in the last few weeks. So the city had an opportunity to fund an unarmed non-police crisis response program. For a couple years, we have been begging for the city to fund an unarmed non-police crisis response program. So there was just a subcommittee that was formed to come up with a number that would achieve that for the city of Ypsilanti. And then the city chose not to spend that money. And this was months before this conversation on Washington Street started happening. So there is a way to fix this. there is a way to fix this compassionately and with care that is actually solution oriented, because throwing more police at the problem is perpetuating the problem. And that's why it's getting worse. So as we're sitting here thinking about like, oh, how do we solve this issue? There are people who are trying to solve it for you. Let us do the work. That's it. I don't know why city officials consistently sit in the way of the folks who are trying to do the work, expect us to volunteer. And then when we say, hey, you know what, we'll do it for free, obstruct it. It really doesn't make any sense to me. So like, if you guys are trying to solve the problem, then engage solutions. If you're trying to be a part of the problem, this is what it looks like. This is what being a part of the problem looks like.
Thank you.
And your new commissioner is from Ypsi Township. He owns a business, but he's from Ypsi Township.
More comments? Announcements? Oh, sorry, man.
I'm an old guy.
We're done.
Slow. Steve Wilcoxon, Ward 2, Ypsilanti resident. What Kat said. I was doing the same research while she was doing it. It's there. I sat through these meetings. All that happened. It was proposed that it be removed, but this commission is the only one that is required. Only one in the category that Lori had spoke to that is required to have OMA.
Yeah, I just want to be rid of it. Yeah, I know that I don't care about yeah. I know, we're toast. Yeah. No, I know. We're gonna table it and have Lori turn me into a believer. So I have one thing, just that this coming meeting on October 24th, I will not be here. We'll probably get
You
done
get the
faster.
apple.
Alrighty then. I'm smashed.
I have no other announcements.
Okay, you can say it.
All right. To speak towards the final point from Mr. Williams as far as the residency of our new commissioner, here it says he's moved from the township into the city and has been voting with us ever since in every election. So, Ypsi resident. Yeah, since 2019. And that's coming from our city clerk.
What is what? Oh. Me too. Announcements?
Have you any?
I do. I'm the going on person in Ypsi.
Yeah.
But next week, First Fridays, there's the night market in Depot Town. That's from 8 to 12. And then on Saturday, there's a domestic violence 5K walk around in Park Ridge Park, and that's from 8 to 12. Also on the 4th, that Friday night at Shafford Field, anyone who is an alumni of Ypsilanti High School or Willow Run, there's a tailgate for the homecoming. It's a lot of fun. Come on out, see all of your classmates. And Saturday in Park Ridge Park, there is a
Stop community.
Stop the Violence. Yes, that, thank you. Sorry.
1 to 3, I'm sorry.
1 to 3 in Park Ridge Park. There's some dynamic speakers that'll be there, and sounds like a great time.
Do you go to all these things? I feel like you do. I feel like we do.
Yeah.
You just described the busiest weekend ever.
You wanted to do?
It's called Red Bull.
You're there too?
Youth and violence, I'm generally not there.
Oh, no, but she just
Okay.
went through like 6 different things. Like
They haven't
on
happened
Wednesday,
yet.
we're doing this,
Four.
on Thursday,
It's
we're
just four.
doing
It's
this.
just four.
Or 20, what's the difference?
Circle out with them.
Anybody else? So,
No, mine was the Supreme Felon Incorporated Stop the Violence Community from 1 to 3 at Park Ridge was mine.
Say who the speakers are.
The speakers are Stacy Mack, the mother of a victim, which you can go look at the mural
Yep.
on Corner Health. James Manoak Thomas, Director of Nations Outside. Adriana Smith, another mother of a victim.
Andrita.
What?
Andrita.
Thank you. Dr. X Strange, original Young Boys Incorporated member. Victoria Burton Harris is our assistant prosecutor and the sister-in-law of one of the victims we've had. And Billy Cole, who is the director of Supreme Felons. It's a march and rally.
cool.
1 to 3.
1 to 3.
1 to 3. Is it what time? Okay, all right. Anybody else?
Oh, I already said one piece.
Just random.
Oh, yeah. No, we're here. I got you. It's in my notes and on my schedule. I got you.
All right, somebody want to move to adjourn here?
That's
We're
it?
Really not talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I move that we adjourn the meeting
I
Second.
for September 25th.
All in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
Aye. Right. Yeah. Thank you.